The following podcast contains adult content, including adult language. I talk openly about sex and other adult topics. If you are under the age of 18 or are uncomfortable listening to sexually explicit narratives, please listen no further. I am not a professional therapist, counselor, or doctor. I'm just an average guy in the swinger lifestyle who likes to share his experiences. This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. Please seek a professional if you are in need of guidance or care as it relates to sexual health or alternative lifestyles. Hello, my lifestyle friends. Welcome to Evan Swings, a podcast about the swinger lifestyle from a guy's perspective. Mine. I'm Evan. I indeed swing, and I do so with my amazingly hot wife, Eva. We are lifestyle veterans of over 3 years. Not exactly a super long time, but enough to have a plethora of experiences and insights about the lifestyle which we love to share with you. Returning listeners, thank you for coming back. Appreciate you greatly. New listeners, I welcome you. I hope you will enjoy your time listening to me and end up being thirsty for more Evan. You can always learn about how Eva and I got started in the lifestyle by listening to my first several episodes. Go back to episode 1 and listen from there. Just please remember, I am not an expert. I don't pretend to be one. I'm just an average guy. I like to share the experiences that Eva and myself have had in the lifestyle for the purpose of entertainment and to hopefully provide you with some information you can relate to. To drive home the fact that I am not an expert, I'm sitting here in my home office, and it is a very, very windy day here in Dayton, Ohio. And I can't promise you that you won't hear some of the wind outside my window, which is just a couple feet away from me. So you might hear that. Let's get into today's episode. In a recent episode, I talked about solo play and how Eva and I enjoy the experience, every once in a while. For me, however, it has been over a year now since I have had an opportunity to have a solo date. It's not that I don't want to. Trust me, I do. But I can't do something if there are no opportunities to do it. I'm not going to lie. I've been a little bummed about it. Really only because Eva has several options for solo play if she chooses to take them. I, of course, want her to be happy and agree to let her enjoy them, but at the same time, I'm just bummed that I'm unable to experience the same fun. So with this in mind, I decided I needed to step up my game a bit. And not just for finding a willing solo date. All right. A while back, I mentioned that Eva and I were in a rut. Well, we came out of that rut a little bit and then fell back into a freaking canyon. Some of our closest lifestyle friends decided to take an indefinite break from the lifestyle. And as you probably know, if you've listened to this podcast before, Eva and I are a FWB type of couple, friends with benefits. We, mostly Eva, are not into meeting someone, fucking them, and then never seeing them again. We like to establish friends with benefits. People we can continue to hang out with and enjoy inside and outside the bedroom. we are very, very selective with whom we choose to meet. It is quite a complex and often frustrating process. For one thing, Eva has a huge hang-up about beards. They can't be long, they can't be bushy, they can't be red. Do you know how many freaking couples I've had to swipe left on or turn away because even though the woman is exactly what I'm looking for, her husband has a beard that doesn't fit Eva's requirements? Too many to count. It is very frustrating, but I completely understand. We all have our preferences. That just happens to, unfortunately, be one of Eva's deal breakers. Well, because of our pickiness and because of our friends taking a break from the lifestyle, we have found ourselves interested in finding additional friends with benefits to make plans with. Not an easy task, but I have certainly been looking. And I usually wait for couples to contact us. Well, lately, I have stepped out of my comfort zone a little bit, and I have sent messages myself, initiating contact with other couples. Go me, right? Not so much. It has not gone that well. I've said it many times before, the Dayton, Ohio area where we live is not exactly a hotbed of lifestyle activity. I just don't think it's highly populated enough to yield a swinger community the size of larger cities. I think that makes perfect sense. Nevertheless, we have been on the lookout. And then I decided to take another chance, another risk. It took me literally about a month for me to set my plan in motion, but I want to tell you all about it today. I call it Operation FOGC. Now that sounds like Foxy, Foxy, which is intentional, but it is actually spelled FOGC, FOGC. And it stands for Fuck Our Guidance Counselor. I am a teacher, and we have a guidance counselor in our building who is absolutely smoking hot inside and out. Her face, her hair, her body, all absolutely exquisite. But also, she is one of the most caring people I have ever met. She is hilariously funny. She is extremely intelligent and is damn good at her job. She is the complete package. Plus, she's about my age. 1 year younger, I think. Well, about a year ago, she ran into some marital problems. Discovered that her husband was having an affair, and that ended her marriage. Now, I have heard through the grapevine that she has embraced her new freedom and has been socially living it up, living life to the fullest. Dates and hookups. I have ogled this woman for years. Me and another male teacher have discussed numerous times how utterly smoking hot she is. But it has always been, you can look, but you can't touch. When I became a swinger, however, the chances of me ever hooking up with any woman I saw went from a solid 0 to just above a 0. but not zero. If I would see someone at a grocery store and be like, man, that woman is hot. Before I was a swinger, I was like, man, that woman is hot, but there's no chance I would ever get a chance to be with her. After I became a swinger, it was no longer an absolute zero chance. Extremely, extremely unlikely, but not zero. Now that this guidance counselor is divorced and letting her wild side out, my chances rise even further. I would say still hovering around 1%, but again, not zero. When I found out that she was officially divorced and exploring, shall we say, like in the dating scene, oh boy, did the fantasies start. She went from smoking hot to somehow even more smoking hot. Whenever I saw her, I would immediately think naughty things. Well, that always happened, but now even more so. I talked to Eva about this. I tell her everything. Yes, even my fantasy about sleeping with the guidance counselor at my school. And Eva was all for it. She knew as well as I do that the chances are so incredibly slim that it was mostly just that, a fantasy. But again, the chances are not zero. Now, let me just say that Eva and I, we understand the phrase, don't shit where you eat. Would it be wise to sleep with a coworker? Someone that I see on a daily basis? Probably not. But I got to thinking more and more. And the more I thought about it, I figured you only live once. Why not? Why not take some risks? Take some chances. This may sound silly, but I thought of myself, like I pictured myself in a nursing home many years from now, wrinkled and shriveled, unable to have sex any longer, maybe even uninterested in sex. And I pictured myself thinking back with regret that I didn't take enough risks. I pictured myself left wondering what could have been had I just been a little more brave, if I had just taken a few more risks. With all that in mind, I decided I was going to go for it. Now, go for it, not exactly meaning what it means to other people who are more confident and outgoing. I decided to go for it in the Evan way. I was going to do something. Nothing crazy, but something to increase the possibility of something ever happening between me and the guidance counselor. And so I call it Operation FOGC. And I told you what it stands for. I like to let my sense of humor play a small role in it. Hence the name. The first step to any plan, though, was going to have to be to let her know I was a swinger. By doing so, I would make her aware that I was part of a non-monogamous lifestyle, and therefore I wasn't off limits. Like, I was available for a hookup. I would be making her aware that I was not off limits should she ever wonder, miraculously, what it was like to bang a hot teacher she works with. And I'm only half serious, okay? I don't consider myself hot, but maybe, just maybe, she did. Even just a little. Well, Operation FOGC began with 2 possible battle plans. Option 1. I would send her a text asking about a particular sport that she and I both enjoy. We have texted about it in the past, so it wouldn't seem out of the ordinary. Then I would send her another text. It would say something like this: I'm not sure. Did we meet them when we went to Club Princeton last time? Then I would immediately follow with a text that said, sorry, didn't mean to send that to you. Now, if you received a text like that, apparently accidentally, wouldn't you be intrigued about what Club Princeton was if you had never heard of it? I would. And I would Google it. If I had never heard of it, I would Google it. And I assumed she would as well. And I may even follow that text with another one that says, hey, if you Google that, please don't tell anyone. That was the general idea behind my plan. A mistaken text that she received that pretty much outed me as a swinger. She would learn that I was a swinger, and maybe she'd be intrigued. Maybe she'd have questions for me. Maybe she'd be so intrigued that she would want to check it out herself and ask to accompany Eva and me there one night. Or maybe she would be so intrigued learning that I was a swinger, she'd see me in a different light. And when she was feeling lonely and horny, she'd think to shoot me a text. Maybe invite me over for a drink. As you can see, I have this whole fantasy planned out. My mind has explored many, many possibilities with this, let me tell you. It is fun to think about many different versions of this fantasy. I ran this plan by Eva and another friend of mine, someone who knows I'm in the lifestyle. Both she and he agreed that Battle Plan 1 was not the best option. Kind of sending her a fraudulent text, a dishonest text. Battle Plan 2, which I am about to explain, was a better choice. In episode 32, towards the end of it, I told you about running into a parent of one of my former students at Club Princeton. Remember, I am a teacher. If you're listening to this for the first time, I am a teacher, and I ran into a parent of one of my former students at a sex club. It was an eye-opening moment. One I didn't know how to react to. In a later episode, I explained how I finally decided I needed some advice about what happened with this parent, and I ended up confiding in another male teacher at my school. He's one of the few people who know I am a swinger at this point, and he was great about it, as I predicted. He gave me some good advice about how he thought I should handle it, and thankfully, nothing ever came of that. But I was worried. I was worried that on our parent-teacher conference night, this woman would stop in my room and make things very awkward. Not come on to me or anything, but mention in a passing way, in like a kind of a discreet way, about seeing me at the club. Or even just saying hello to me in front of my coworkers. Even that might arouse suspicion, because normally that wouldn't happen. A parent of a former student stopping by to say hello randomly is not something that happens very often, at least not in our school. But again, thankfully, nothing happened at our parent-teacher conference at that night. That was about a month before the date of this recording. But I was, at the time of initiating Operation FOGC, I was still a little bit concerned about it happening. Conferences were right around the corner. My idea revolved around this. I told my male coworker, right, and I sought his advice, but he's a young male teacher, not a veteran teacher. So my plan was that I should also tell my guidance counselor and seek her advice. I wouldn't mention that my other coworker knew about my involvement in the lifestyle. I would approach her like I did him. I needed advice, and I needed to confide in someone I could trust. And I really felt I could trust her. I know for a fact that she has helped several other teachers in my building with personal issues. I told you, she is an amazing person, a beautiful person inside and out. I was 99.9% sure that if I asked her to keep a secret about me, she would. And the thing is, again, I was being honest. I was not really deceiving her. Okay, I really did want advice about this situation from another coworker. Again, my male colleague, he's only been teaching for a couple of years. Our guidance counselor is a veteran teacher about my age. And she's female. I honestly felt it would be wise to seek out another opinion about this situation. From someone who has been in the school system for about as long as I have. From someone who actually knows the parent and what she's capable of. I saw it not only as a possible benefit to me socially, but as a benefit to my career to come forward and tell her about what happened. I composed a text to her. I stated, I stated that I was hoping to get her advice on something if she was willing. I said it was school related, but stemmed from a personal private matter. If she agreed to listen, I asked if she would promise to keep it a complete secret. I said that I didn't want any of my closest colleagues to know. I didn't want any of my colleagues to know, period. I promised it was nothing illegal, nothing harmful or crazy. And, well, I composed that text and I sat on it for a week. Every day I told myself I would send that text, and every day I held back. I second-guessed myself. My career would be in her hands in some way. This is a coworker of mine who I would have to face in the hallways every day. If she was repulsed by what she learned about me, that would make things incredibly awkward at work. Tension would be created. I'm a former teacher of her own kids. She might possibly see me in a totally different light and lose respect for me. If it was something she was really against, heck, she could out me. She could post something about me, she could tell others about me, and it could get out to the community somehow, and my career may be over. My mind went through all the terrible possible outcomes. The good possible outcomes were simply not strong enough to get me to hit that send button. But after a week of stewing on it, I was standing there at my basement man cave bar watching a hockey game with the text in front of me on my phone, and something in me finally said, fuck it, and I hit send. Within an hour, I received a response. It was exactly what I hoped for, and what I kind of expected, knowing the type of person she is. It was kind, it was considerate, it was understanding. She said she would be happy to meet with me, and she suggested one day at lunch that week, because this was on a Sunday, so she suggested one day at lunch that week. I often eat in my classroom, where I can enjoy some peace and quiet for about 30 minutes, and she knew that, which is why she suggested it. I agreed, and Operation FOGC had officially been initiated. So again, that was on a Sunday. I was preparing myself for the possibility of her coming to my classroom to talk on Monday, the next day. But she did not. Nor did she Tuesday. Nor did she Wednesday. And then, due to some appointments and a family matter, I was not going to be at school Thursday or Friday. So the weekend arrived, and we had not talked. And I thought maybe she had even forgot about talking with me. And I thought maybe that's a good thing. Maybe this was a bad idea all along. Admitting I was a swinger to a hot female colleague, it was possible she would see right through it and figure out my devious plan. And then maybe she'd be offended. She's not stupid, right? It was not out of the realm of possibility that she would figure out my true intentions or my ulterior motives. Sunday evening, a week after the original text I sent her, I received a message from her. She simply asked, "Hey, would you like to talk at lunch tomorrow?" I responded, "That would be great." It appeared to be on. The next day, I would be confessing to this incredibly hot school guidance counselor that I was a swinger. A part of me hoped that she had forgotten after the week. I had my doubts that I was making the right move. But then again, I thought of myself many years from now, and this seemed like a situation that future me would be pissed at past me. Future me would regret me not shooting my shot when I had the chance. I thought, you know what? You only live once. The next day rolled around, and I was pretty damn nervous, I admit it. I didn't see her all morning, but I noticed on my way to the teacher's lounge that she was in her office. So at lunchtime, I passed her room, and she was in her office. I didn't stop. I just kept walking. She is a very busy person, as we all are, and I didn't want to bother her. If she had other stuff going on and had to postpone meeting with me, so be it. But while I was in the lounge, I got a text from her. It said, "I'm in your room whenever you are ready." I told her I was heating up my lunch and I would be over after that. At that point, I weirdly felt a sense of calm. Like this was something that needed to happen. Now that quickly faded as I started the walk back to my classroom. I started feeling nervous again. I walked in, and she was sitting there in the dark waiting for me. All my classroom lights were off. Briefly, naughty thoughts entered my mind and then left very quickly. But I walked in, turned on a row of lights, Then I sat in a chair across from her. God, she was so beautiful. I was so nervous at that point. I was shaking a little. And I think she probably was well aware of that. And in a way, I think that was a good thing, because all I know it didn't convey confidence, which I've been told women are attracted to, but it showed that I was definitely nervous. So her seeing right through my plan was less likely. So I thought that was kind of a good thing. And I laid it on the line. I thanked her for doing this. Once again, made sure she was good with keeping the secret, and then said what I came to say. I told her that my wife and I participate in a non-monogamous lifestyle. To which she replied, "Oh, not a critical or condescending oh, but just oh, like that's not what I thought you were going to say." That type of oh, like a surprise. I said something like, "Well, you're not running for the door yet, so that's a good thing. You're not completely repulsed by this, so I guess I can continue talking." And she smiled at that, and I explained how this was actually school related. I told her about the club Eva and I attended, and how a few weeks prior, I was greeted by the mom of a former student. She did ask which parent it was, and I told her. I'm not sure if that was a huge breach of etiquette, but I think I would have told this woman anything she asked at that point. I remember having a hard time making eye contact with her. Not because I was embarrassed, but because I worried she was just seeing right through this. Like she would know that I had this ulterior motive to this discussion. I explained what worried me about it, about seeing the parent, and she talked to me like it was nothing out of the ordinary. Like it was a normal problem, and we were having a normal conversation, and she was going to give me, a normal person, some advice. She was great, as I predicted she would be. She told me that she didn't think I had anything to worry about. She didn't think that mom, knowing her as she did, because she has had several experiences with her, like talking about her student. She didn't think she would ever say anything. And then she told me if she did, I should come talk to her right away, and she'd help in any way she could. It was only a couple of minutes worth of conversation. Then she headed out of my room, and I was like, wow, I just told our hot guidance counselor that I am a swinger. About 15 minutes later, I received a text from her. She thanked me. Yeah, she thanked me for trusting her with my secret. She seemed like honored, and went on to say, "And I hope you know it's all good," smiley face. "Should anything come up, which I don't think it will, let me know if you need anything." That was awesome. And I did it. Operation FOGC Phase 1 had been completed. Now for Phase 2, right? Well, there is no Phase 2. This is as far as I take it. I'm sorry if you made it this far and you thought that I was going to end with this amazing conclusion to the story. But I'm sorry to say it's not the case. This is as far as I go with this. I accomplished my goal, and now the ball is in her court. I wanted her to be aware that I was a swinger, that my wife and I practiced this non-monogamous way of life, so that she knew I was an available option should she ever want or need a hookup, for lack of a better term. Until I told her I was an off-limits married man in her eyes. Now she knows I am in fact on limits. I just don't feel it would be appropriate trying to, seduce her or, make a move on her, to hit on her. I mean, she is a professional colleague of mine. If she wants me, she should now know it is a possibility that she could have me. Or if she wants to learn more about being a swinger. And trust me, I have played out many fantasy scenarios in my mind. She gets curious about the lifestyle and has questions. So she comes to my room and asks if we could talk sometime after school, maybe over a drink. Or she flat out asks me to grab a drink after school or come over to her house after school, and things escalate. She's a very outgoing, assertive type of woman. So I feel that she will come and get it if she wants it. It's a long shot. Like I said earlier, my chances sit at, I would say, less than 2%. But it's not zero any longer, and it's fun to think about the possibilities. Thankfully, it hasn't been awkward in the weeks since that day I told her. As I record this, it's been a few weeks. It has been, business as usual at school. But one funny thing happened the other day when some coworkers saw her in the hallway and said they heard what was written about her. And I was like, what's going on? So I asked what was written about her, assuming it was a nasty Facebook post or something about her, which is not an uncommon occurrence from parents in my school district to post nasty things about teachers on Facebook. Now, I'm just going to use the name Mrs. Smith here to hide her identity. Well, after I asked what was written about her, she comes up to me close, puts her hand on my shoulder, and says, quietly, because we're in a school hallway with students around, "In the restroom, someone wrote, 'Mrs. Smith sucks dick,' on the wall." I just did a face palm and was like, wow, that's unbelievable. Meaning, that's unbelievable that an elementary school-aged kid would write that. But I couldn't help but visualize her sucking a dick. and one of my coworkers remarked in jest, "How did they know?" And she was like, "I know, right?" Oh, I think I may have blushed a bit on that, but I'm not sure. Oh, man. I will, of course, keep you listeners up to date about Operation FOGC should anything ever happen. I doubt it will, but I will certainly mention if it does. Like I said, she has to take the next step. She knows I'm a swinger now. If she wants something, it's on her. It's now up to her to act upon that information if she wants to act upon it. I try to picture myself as a single dude ogling a married teacher in my building, wishing she was free to have a wild evening with me. Then finding out she led a non-monogamous life and thinking, hey, now I have a chance. If I had more confidence, I would definitely make a move on her. So now the roles are reversed. She is the single one here. If she wants me as an assertive, confident woman, she is now more than welcome to make a move. But I doubt she does. For one, again, we're professional colleagues. We're coworkers. That could potentially lead to some awkwardness. And it is so unlikely, in my opinion, that she finds me attractive and has wondered what it would be like to be with me. So if she's not attracted to me, then obviously nothing could possibly happen. So therefore, I don't see anything coming of this. But I tell you what, it is sure fun to think about, and I am glad I told her. I am glad to know that she knows. And I find myself nowadays, in the past few weeks, going a little bit above and beyond for school. Normally, I've gotten to the point in my career where, there was, at one point I would always dress up every day, shirt and tie, to school. But as I've gotten older, I've just wanted to be more comfortable. So while I still dress professionally, I don't put all that much effort into it. Usually I wear a quarter zip and khakis to school. And that's pretty much it. But lately, in the past few weeks, I've wanted to look my best. So I've thrown together some what I think are pretty nice looking outfits. Shirt, tie, nice jeans, kind of casual yet spiffy. And then I admit, when I've been wearing this and I've felt like I looked good, I've gone out of my way a little bit to make sure that I run into her. I'll pop in the office with a question I didn't really need to ask, just to make sure that I passed her office, just so that I am well aware that she saw me. But again, that's as far as I go. I'll maybe throw on a little extra cologne, but that's it. If she wants something to happen, she can make it happen. So again, I will keep you updated. And that's all for today's episode of Evan Swings. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're a little bit intrigued as to what might happen with Operation FOGC. And again, I will keep you listeners updated if anything were to ever happen with Mrs. Smith. Until next time, hit me up with questions, comments, suggestions. You can reach out to me at Evan Deanson on Instagram. That's Evan Deanson, EvanDeanson. Or you can send me an email, evandeanson@gmail.com, or simply visit my Blue Sky account by searching for Evan Swings. As I always say, be safe, be naughty, and we'll see you next time.